Growth is a mandate for many brands each year. So one way to grow is to create and deliver offerings that work for a wider range of people. That's where inclusive marketing comes in. Inclusive marketing is all about acknowledging the many ways people are different and choosing which identities your brand will serve. Then the brands that do inclusive marketing well authentically infuse the identities that they've chosen to serve throughout all areas of their marketing mix. Now the brands are doing this to ensure that the people that they want to serve feel like they belong with them, and so that those consumers know that their brand is for people like them. Now, with more than 8 years of experience as an inclusive marketing strategist and consultant, I can tell you that the ways in which many brands are engaging in inclusive marketing looks very different. That's because it's tailored to their consumers that they want to serve, their products, and their own personal brand style. So in this video, we're going to get into some examples, 5 specifically, 4 of them from billion-dollar brands and $1 million brand, of how they are successfully engaging in inclusive marketing to help them grow. First up is how Zumba focuses on building a diverse team. Now, whenever brands are struggling with inclusive marketing, one of the recommendations that many observers have, consumers and marketers alike, is for them to look at the demographics of their internal team. That's because if everyone comes from the same background, you may be missing out on some valuable insights that you can apply. A diverse team will be more representative of the consumers you want to serve, which will better help you understand their needs. One of my favorite examples is Zumba. The popular dance fitness program trains instructors in 160 countries around the world and has more than 15 million people who take their classes worldwide. With such a global audience, Zumba needs instructors who can speak different languages and understand different lifestyles and different types of consumers.
Now, what's important to know is that those instructors, they come from all walks of life. So you have people, taking their certification for a variety of reasons. You have people that do this as a full-time job because they need the income. You have people who do this to stay in shape. You have people who is a side gig.
According to Carolina Moraes, Zumba's chief marketing officer, the diversity of the brand's instructors helps them attract a broader diversity of customers. She further explains.
So as you can imagine, that brings in a blend of a very diverse community of instructors where you have lawyers, teachers, firefighters, hairdressers, chefs, all kinds of primarily women. We are obviously a heavy female program taking these trainings together. And they bring in their students who very often are from the same universe, right? So when they start teaching, their class very often looks like them.
Now, while having a diverse team will help you expand your perspectives, it's important to note that a diverse team alone doesn't guarantee success. You can only benefit from your team's diverse perspectives and insights whenever they feel safe enough to share their experiences. That's why brands need to build an inclusive culture and focus on psychological safety. Whenever people on your team feel like they belong with you, they will feel more comfortable bringing their unique lived experiences and other perspectives to the work they do. Zumba builds this environment by working with education specialists who train their new Zumba instructors and get them steeped into the brand's inclusive culture.
Now, they themselves are the most diverse group you will probably see. They are a direct reflection of the brand. And when they hold those sessions, not only is this diversity spoken about in the actual training, but it's also brought into the product.
So here's the thing that I want you to remember. Building and empowering a diverse team who feels safe and comfortable to speak their mind and bring their experiences to the work that they do will help you attract and retain a bigger and more diverse customer base. All right, the second example comes from Wistia and how it features diverse talent in its communications. Like Zumba video marketing platform, Wistia focuses on amplifying a broad diversity of voices. The company features diverse talent in its promotional videos, both in the form of internal team members and external influencer partners. Taylor Corrado is the Senior Director of Brand Marketing at Wistia. She explained the benefit of showcasing a diverse set of experts in the brand's content.
If you're building the team that's inclusive and diverse, you're going to be able to infuse it more into your marketing, which is like, you don't always make the connection, but when you realize how much you can use your team to be in content and to be the voice of the brand, but also like visually represent different groups, it's really impactful.
The data backs this up as well. I ran a survey of 1,000 consumers all about inclusive marketing and specifically representation in marketing. Of the respondents, 46% of them said that they wanted the brands that they are engaging with and buying from, they wanted their leadership and internal teams to be reflective of their customer base. The data also showed that 41% of consumers want brands to work with a broad diversity of influencers and spokespersons. All right, so here's a pro tip for you. Put your team front and center without using tokenism as a reflection of your brand's commitment to inclusion. Consumers want you to prove your commitment to diversity inclusion. They don't want to hear you just talk about it. They want to see that you really are about it. They see the team that you hire and feature as a reflection of your values. All right, so the third example comes from Michael Graves Design and how they are building accessibility directly into their product. All right, so some of the really great examples that you're going to see from brands with regards to inclusive marketing is all about how they are baking inclusion directly into their product design. That's one of the reasons why I love Michael Graves Design. CEO Ben Whitner told me that the brand's ethos around accessible homes centers on the decisions you make within a home that are going to allow the widest group of people possible to live the way they want to live, and most importantly, with independence and dignity. To achieve this goal, the brand works to build products for the people who have the most specific needs, which includes people who have disabilities. Whitner says the brand builds its products with novel functional enhancements. He also mentioned that design teams are very much focused on building safety, style, and accessibility. Now, most companies I've seen are designing products for the masses. Then they go back and try to figure out a way to adapt what they've already done to be inclusive of people from underrepresented and underserved communities. Michael Graves Design breaks that mold by focusing on building products designed for the people with the most specialized needs, while considering the needs of its wider customer base. And in doing so, the brand actually delivers a product that works for the widest group of people possible. Here's Ben explaining how they do it.
Our maybe biggest takeaway is that people want us to design with, not to design for. And because everyone's preferences and situations are unique, there's never going to be a single solution that's going to work for everyone. And no one wants to be told, this is what's right for you. So what we do is we listen. We try to meet with and understand as many people's perspectives as possible. And then what we do, and what we did with Pottery Barn, is we build prototypes. So if we are trying to solve a certain problem that we heard a lot of people having, we'll have a lot of ideas, like maybe you could solve it like this, maybe like that. So we build rough prototypes quickly, affordably. We talk of them as works like, not looks like. You know, they're 2x4s and plywood. But we will then have people use them. So it's different from a focus group. It's more one-on-one. We call it consumer preference testing. And we'll do some A/B testing. Which solution do you like better? And we'll just observe people. Where do they touch it? How do they use it? And then get their feedback. And we do it early enough in the design process so we can then integrate their feedback into our designs. And we feel like that's the best way to ensure the products are going to be commercially successful, because they're less hypothetical. They've been proven out.
Now, I've seen this work outside of the design space as well. Now, take this restaurant that I used to frequent all the time whenever I lived in Buenos Aires. The menu was designed for people who followed a gluten-free and paleo diet. However, the food was delicious and focused on popular dishes that people in Buenos Aires love to eat. The result was the majority of the people who went to the restaurant were not gluten-free or didn't follow a paleo diet. They just came for a delicious meal. The restaurant was also frequented by people who do follow those restrictive diets, because there weren't a lot of available options for people like me. They served people like me who followed a restrictive diet. They served people who just loved great food in Buenos Aires and they wanted to come eat there. It was a win-win for all. All right, so here's my recommendation for you. Design for the consumers who have the most specialized needs, so you have a product that works for the widest group of people possible. All right, so the fourth example comes from Lysol and how it prioritizes identity-based research to improve effectiveness. Customer intimacy is at the heart of any effective inclusive marketing strategy. The team at Lysol prioritizes engaging in research to ensure that they understand the consumers that they want to serve at a deep level. This also helps them craft communications that strike the right tone. Gary Osifchin is the Chief Marketing Officer and General Manager at Reckitt US Hygiene. He told me that the brand has been effective at engaging African American and Hispanic consumers because they have been authentically representing them in their communications. The key here, according to Gary, is basing all of your promotional campaigns on customer insight.
I very much instituted an expectation as a leader of my marketing teams, first and foremost, to know who their consumers are from a diverse audience standpoint, understand, how they're doing in terms of household penetration, buy rate, frequency of purchase, what needs to be solved to better address the needs of consumers. Is it, that I mentioned scent? Is it product changes? How are they looking at graphics? What in our communications in terms of an insight, whether it's a Hispanic insight or it's representation of Black families using our Lysol products. First and foremost, what do we know? What's the baseline in terms of how we resonate or don't? And then what do we need to do to better resonate? And that's a lot of rich qual, a lot of in-home, a lot of upskilling and ensuring that we actually are speaking to diverse consumers to gain insight. And that insight then drives your communications and your product development. And then you have to have quantitative testing, as we do in all of our comms and our product development, to ensure that against the audience segments that you wanted to do something better with and resonate more with, are we actually doing that? Are we actually delivering a better fragrance experience with our Lysol Brand New Day products amongst the target consumers of African American and Hispanics? The answer is yes, we are, because we developed it based on insight, and then we tested it to ensure that we were delivering against it. And then we communicate, big brand Lysol in a way that is truly, grounded in consumer truths that resonate, and that we represent Asian, African American, Hispanics in our advertising.
All right, so here's my recommendation for you. Move beyond those superficial campaigns. We've all seen them, right? Let's move beyond those that don't resonate with people from underrepresented and underserved communities. Invest in getting the insights that you need and then testing them to ensure that what you're creating resonates. All right, so the fifth example that we're going to walk through comes from HubSpot and how they're acquiring more customers through multilingual content marketing. People in 135 countries around the world use HubSpot. Not all of those customers speak English, and even among the people who do speak English, they may prefer to get their educational content in another language. So as a means to reach more of its ideal customers, HubSpot leans into multilingual marketing. The brand creates original content and marketing funnels in different languages such as Spanish and French. Salim Damani is part of the French growth marketing team at HubSpot. He told me that the brand takes a very strategic approach to engaging consumers in different markets. And that strategy goes well beyond just translating existing content.
We have to accept that the original market or the US market is different from international markets, but they are also all different and unique. And we cannot have just like the one strategy we roll out for every other country. If we're not going native enough, we're already giving arguments to the potential customers to say no to our sales team. If it looks like this is not for me, if you come as an American company in France trying to sell something and you don't advertise it in a way that the French audience can say, okay, that's going to work for me. The assumption is that it's not. If all the examples that I'm shown about, an American delivery company, American fast foods, American train systems, booking systems that don't exist, I'm like, okay, it works, but it won't work for me. We have to break these arguments, showing that I'm speaking to you and that your market, yourself are not an afterthought of my strategy, but that you are the center of the regional strategy.
All right, so my recommendation to you is to embrace the principle that your brand will go so much farther and will be so much more effective if you don't try to force a one-size-fits-all approach to all the people that you're trying to serve. Know the identities of the different consumers your brand wants to serve, and then find the ideal ways to serve them. So, are you ready to grow with inclusive marketing? Each of the brands featured in today's video approached inclusive marketing from a different angle. However, each brand reaped the same reward. They could generally serve a wider range of customers by serving their unique needs. More brands are realizing that inclusive marketing is not only the right thing to do, but incredibly effective for achieving growth. By understanding the different identities of the people who have the problem that your brand solves, you can create and deliver inclusive campaigns, design more accessible products, and expand your reach. All right, I want to hear from you. Which of the growth strategies that we walked through today make the most sense for your brand? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Until next time, remember, everyone deserves to have a place where they belong. Let's use our individual and collective power to ensure more people feel like they do. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you soon.